All right, welcome back. Free radicals of all shapes, sizes, colors, denominations, and orientations. My name is Dave. Aloha from cloudy and rather chilly Florida. This poll, kind of a shock poll, came out over the weekend, and it is stunning. This comes out of Iowa. This is a YouGov Hofstra poll from the state of Iowa. Joe Biden, very persistent at 14.8%. Look at Sanders and Gabbard, though. This is where it gets pretty interesting. Again, the methodology I checked through, it's not a ton of sampling here going on, but it's interesting that Gabbard at 9, other polls have Mayor Pete leading the pack in Iowa. So these polls are all over the place, but I've never seen a poll where Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders are running neck and neck at around 9%. First of all, there's no way that Sanders is polling this low, but there is a way that Gabbard is polling this high. And yes, I have a bias. I want Tulsi Gabbard to win the nomination. This is really good news, though, and it shows that this campaign is moving forward. It's catching momentum, really, at the right moment. And I think Warren is going to collapse. And people are going to start looking at other candidates. Again, the media has gone full in for Mayor Pete. Here's an interesting thing, though, about this poll. Unsure is 19.8. Someone else is 16.3. So this might be why the Dems are throwing more candidates in there. They're putting more neoliberals out there like Bloomberg and Deval Patrick. If people are really nostalgic for Barack Obama, they will look at Deval Patrick because he is basically an Obama protege. I'd have to say, compared to Joe Biden, the problem with Deval Patrick is name ID. He's going to struggle with all these guys. Bloomberg, maybe more name ID, but again, they're looking at Biden to collapse. And here's the thing. Biden's not going anywhere, and the country knows who he is. And I see, again, on Twitter is kind of its own world, but I do see people saying, look, here's Biden polling against Trump, and he's trouncing him. Let's just not, mess things up. Let's just go. And there are going to be a number of people, including the superdelegates, that agree with that and say, you know what, let's just put Biden up there. He's well known, and, he's affable and so forth, and a lot of people are going to feel sorry for Joe Biden when they hear him try to debate Donald Trump, because I think it's going to be a bleep show. I think things are going to go very badly if it becomes Biden against Trump. And there's going to be a serious backlash within the Democratic Party if they do this thing again where they anoint an establishment candidate. Of course, everybody is saying this, so I'm not saying anything new. All I'm saying in this poll is that Tulsi Gabbard on the ground at 9%. Now, I've been told this poll does not qualify. It's not a qualifying poll. Of course not. Because Tulsi's almost in the top 3 here. She's only 2.2% behind Bernie Sanders. And for all the grief that I've been getting from Sanders supporters, and I know people watch my videos and they go, what do you mean? What Sanders supporters? Sanders supporters are the most disagreeable people, other than one or two that I follow on Twitter. There's one who's really great on Twitter, who sees the benefit of having Gabbard in this race. Most everybody else is like, hurry up, let's just get this over with. Because the progressives want to coronate Bernie. The neolibs want to coronate Biden. Or someone else, depending on the week, all right? But it's technically, they're not going to lose their love for Joe Biden, the neolibs, and the neo-progs, or some of them are true progressives. I don't want to, paint with a broad brush here, but a lot of those neo-progs, they're just like, hurry up, let's just get this over with. And this poll has got to really irritate them. That Gabbard, not only is she sticking around, but now she's gaining momentum. And then they're gonna come out with all the arguments. Well, she doesn't have the infrastructure that Bernie has. She's not as strong on domestic policy as Bernie. I've been hearing this all. The latest one is a thing about Bolivia, that Gabbard has not come out fast enough with her rebuke of our coup in Bolivia. All right, and it's like, has Bernie said anything about Julian Assange yet? No. It's and there, you can go down the list of things that Bernie has remained fairly silent on. The Venezuela thing, he hinted that, Maduro was an evil dictator, blah blah blah, and that, people there are suffering and so forth. And I'm thinking, why? It's in the Russiagate stuff, the talking points. The progressives or the neo-progs who do these channels, these independent channels. They say, well, Bernie's just getting bad advice. Well, guess what? Then he's not strong enough to be president. He's just not. Do you think Trump probably takes advice and just throws it out the window? And not that I'm saying that's a good thing in the case of Donald Trump, because he needs all the help he can get to figure out a sentence and so forth. But Tulsi Gabbard, I believe, is much more in charge of her campaign. I'm sure she's getting advice. But I'm sure she's sitting down and saying, this is what I want to say. How should I say it? Should I be as blunt? I mean, when Hillary came after Tulsi Gabbard, do you think Tulsi ran her tweet through some advisor first? Nope. The queen of warmongers? I don't think anybody focus tested that phrase before it went out. So my point to the Bernie folks is that perspective here is really important, and you're not doing that. What you're doing is saying, more or less, well, Tulsi needs to be strong on this because this is her forte, and Bernie beat her to the punch and so forth, and I don't know what's wrong with her. And your guys are looking. You're absolutely looking. It's like the Medicare for all versus Medicare choice. You're looking for stuff to nitpick and to find wrong with Tulsi Gabbard. And we're all sitting here going, yeah, I don't know if the doctors are going to even want to participate in this, and Tulsi's trying to make it so there are actually some medical professionals left, and there's some hospitals left that want to do this. We don't know what the reaction will be, since this isn't a true government-run plan. This is a hybrid. Again, I don't want to go into details about it, but the government, if they're running it, they'd be saying, hey, you're working for us. We pay you, and we tell you that you got to see these people, and so forth. I mean, a doctor could go set up a private practice somewhere and just be... And then I was told, hey, you can't say that. I mean, that's evil if they would do that. Really? Because, again, here's the thing. I get the non-profit motive, because it should be non-profit. But have you ever seen a doctor that didn't want to make a lot of money? I mean, it's a profession. It's a highly skilled profession. So you're going to tell them, no, you can't do your highly skilled profession, or we're not going to pay you what we used to? I just think that Tulsi thinks things through a little bit more, and hence the Bolivia issue right now, and we'll see what happens. But you can't deny this number, folks. It's 9%. Harris is at 3%. Tulsi has triple the support and is certainly a top-tier candidate and could even get to number one. I know people think I'm silly when I say, oh, she could be the number one candidate. She could win the nomination. She could. I think the DNC will do everything in their power to thwart her campaign. They've already done that. But I think they're probably starting to notice the more they throw dirt at Tulsi, the better she does. And this is, the law of reciprocity. It's just showing itself to be the real deal in this case when it comes to... And look, I have sympathy for Sanders. I know he's been blocked, basically. When he's in a lead in a poll, they talk about the other people in the poll. They never mention Bernie. I see that too. I know it's there. I just think, again, this is going to be a battle, and I will talk about this. I have a platform over on Rockfin. I'm going to talk about the battle between Bernie and Tulsi supporters right now, and I'm going to talk about how it could really be a problem. I've said this a long time ago, that Bernie and Tulsi might end up canceling each other out, especially if the Bernie people are like, it's Bernie or bust, and if Tulsi does well, then that's not helping Bernie, and Bernie needs the nomination. So essentially what they're saying, and there's some truth to it, that you need to consolidate all your support to Bernie. And there are a lot of people that like Tulsi who like Bernie. But I'll tell you what, Tulsi has her own lane. And she's attracting independents and Trump voters and people who've never participated in the political process before. Libertarians. Look, Gary Johnson, I think, in the last election, the Libertarians are the strongest third party in the country. So if you've got a number of Libertarians who are like, hey, I'm interested in Tulsi. I don't agree with her economic proposals, but man, this end the regime change war stuff, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And people are willing to hold their nose on some of those other issues because they see, for instance, our national debt is being inflated and increased daily because we're spending more money than we're taking in. I'm just wondering why the government hasn't monetized all of that debt yet, because they do it for the banks and so forth. Maybe the numbers are just too big to do that. Maybe, it's kind of like people would actually notice that, because 130 billion dollars, nobody seems to know. They don't care. It's just like you put some dirt under a rock and nobody really saw what you did. But with 21 trillion or whatever, it might be a little more difficult. But based on the current policies of this country, which are Keynesian, and they're reckless, because what happens is you can do it for certain classes, but you can't do it for the rest of the people. And once those people wake up to the fact that you're bailing out large corporations, banks, but you have no interest in just regular people who have enormous debts, once that becomes plain to those people, and of course there's no reporting on that at all. So it would take another 5 to 10 years at least for these people to wake up. Another economic crisis would do it, and there is a chance we might have one soon. So in any event, people like me to stay optimistic. I don't know how you can't be optimistic about Tulsi Gabbard at 9%. If you're a Tulsi supporter and you're thinking your candidate can't win, she can win, and this is going to start to scare people. And I will talk about that over on my other platform in another video today. That's Rockfin, Rokfin. That will be a different video from this one, so please check that out. And also, if you can continue to help me out over on both PayPal and Patreon, again, the generosity of some of the people who are watching my videos on either of these platforms is just astounding. I'm really just humble and thankful. It's made my life better. I'm able to do things that I didn't think I could do, and so I'm grateful. So just if you could continue to help me out, that would be great. I will put the email address for PayPal in the description box of this video, and later I will see you over on Rockfin with more commentary and an exclusive video over there, which won't be here on YouTube. All right, I am done with this one. I'll see you all soon.